but I got into it. And I'm always the guy who like explains stuff and like reads the directions. But I was like, man, you can't do this. You need a dungeon master.
You do.
It really does need to be taught. So we're looking to play. Just
Dude,
haven't gotten into it
I
yet.
will totally run a game for you if you want.
Oh, cool. All right.
I do a DM for we have a crew or let's call it a brand that we play some one shots and some campaigns under called D&DS9. So
Oh, nice. Nice.
and we're working to find a way to have Joe Malazzi come in as a, and we don't record it because some of the folks are camera shy, but it's just us having fun. There will be some that do record, and if you want to be in on that, we can make that happen. But it's specifically me helping as a new-ish DM help new players learn how to play.
Oh, that's cool. That'd be fun. Yeah, I'll talk to the wife. We'll set that up.
That's awesome.
I really like the show Harmon Quest too. That's a good show.
I don't know that I've watched that. What's that on?
It's hard to find. I'm waiting for Netflix to buy it up because it was on. Hey, babe, what was Harmon Quest on? Started with an S. One of those weird
Showtime Stars. One of those.
No. Nothing like that.
Way different than that.
No, it wasn't Sling. Anyways, it was on not even a network, but like an obscure website, streaming website.
Oh, wow.
Like Crackle, something like that. But anyways, it's Dan Harmon doing D&D with a different dungeon master with some celebrities, and they animate the quest.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's really fun. Cool. Yeah.
And
sometimes they'll have a celebrity on who's played, like Tom Milovich, and other times it's somebody who's never played before, which is also fun. But it's like
right on. Yeah, no, that's my thing, is helping people who've never played learn to play, because I've been playing on average, you could say weekly, and maybe even twice weekly for 6 years. So
oh wow.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Well, cool, man. First of all, I wanted to say big fan, love your work. We're going to talk about how that happens and what Screen Crush is all about, if that's cool too. But the format of the show, excuse me, is just you and I, like we were at the bar getting to know each other. So, if you have one, drink one. If not, it's fine. It's just the name of the show.
I think I got a cup of tea on the way. So
there you go. Cup of tea. Cup of tea's fine. I got a Diet Dr. Pepper. So
nice.
And the name, you might appreciate this. The name of the show is I got it backwards and wrong, but it's from a line in London Has Fallen, when the president asks Gerard Butler's character, what did they make you out of? And he says, poor choices in bourbon. And I got it backwards.
I like that line. I've never seen the movie.
Or no, he said bourbon and poor choices. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. It's actually, if you enjoy big dumb fun and can, notch your thinking down on that.
I can. I can.
I was in the movie theaters as whatever, role, mostly projectionist or manager for 7 years. And if you get to see almost everything for free, you really have to find a way to
right
to it down. The only thing I ever regret is watching Speed 2. That was a complete and total waste of my
cruise
time.
control.
Oof. Yeah, no, I tuned it out so bad that I was like a couple of years ago old when I put the whole thing together, that it was like a pun also. cruise control, because of the speed. On a boat cruise.
Oh, I didn't realize. I've never seen the movie, so I didn't realize it was on a boat.
Don't.
That's why. Okay.
I spent a good portion of my adult life not having watched.
And that movie's also responsible for one of the worst SNL hosting jobs I've ever seen, when they had Jason Patrick on.
Oh.
He just came off like this smarmy shit. Like you could tell he didn't want to say the
younger brother. Isn't that how that worked?
Is it?
I don't know. I mean,
God, I don't know. He's gone. He's gone though. Nobody's seen him around for a long time.
It is now. Well, we try to go around an hour-ish, so I hope that fits with your schedule. That seems to be about right. But also wanted to give you a hello from my oldest. Your videos are required viewing after WandaVision or anything, and that we discuss not only the show but what we learned from you. So I said, hey, do you want to stop in and say hi? And he was like, no, I'm good. So anyway, I'll do a quick intro and introduce you, and then we just start talking. It's super informal.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Got the tea? You ready?
Got the tea.
What kind of tea is it?
It is black English breakfast.
Oh, dude, third favorite tea. I usually for the morning it's about Irish breakfast is my favorite.
Oh, okay.
A little brighter, a little more mild, but Earl Grey is always ups. Got to fit the brand.
And it's got to be hot.
Got to be hot. That's right. All right. Actually, we mix some in with our Southern sweet tea. We put like
Really?
it gives it a well, it tastes more like what Lady Grey would taste like. It's a little less on the nose, but it's good stuff. All right.
Cool.
So going to do this intro here and then we'll chat, man. Broadcasting worldwide from the Toadsuck Studio in beautiful Central Arkansas, currently snow-covered Central Arkansas. You're listening to Bad Choices in Bourbon. I'm your host, Dan Decker, DanDeckr on Twitter. And with me right now is Screen Crush's very own Ryan Aery. Man, it's really great to have you on the show. Thank you for making time to join me today. I know the listeners will be excited. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. It's also snow covered here. We're in the midst of a moment of national unity.
That's right. Hopefully things have been well here regards to power and services. We have been very fortunate that the lights have stayed on, the heat works and things like that. So good luck to you all there for that for sure. So man, if people don't know, you host the videos on YouTube for Screen Crush. So, and they're very timely. You are within hours, it seems, of new content and being able to get that stuff together. So having seen Multiplicity, is that how you do this? Is that how it works? You have multiple Ryans?
I actually think about that a lot because in Multiplicity, it wasn't so he could do better at his job. It was so he could do his job and be a better husband and a better father. And
exactly.
Yeah, it is tough because you want to do things like, spend more time just with family or spend more time, making different videos or just writing your own projects. It is easy to get worn thin. God, I love that movie though. Could you bring me a monkey? It's my favorite line from that movie.
No, well, so you get points for just making the reference known. That's a deep cut from my perspective. It's like knowing it's chopping broccoli and much better than cats. I mean, if you know those,
Michael, right? Michael Keaton in the 90s, though, that's a rare thing because he kind of did more dramas. He didn't do as many comedies then.
But that is him funny in the tune of like Mr. Mom, just classic Keaton comedy, especially after, he did a few dramatic roles, arguably starting with Batman, classic.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
And
then like My Life and The Paper. Yeah.
Oh man, My Life was so.
That's a sad movie. Yeah. It really gets you.
It is. Kind of gives you some training wheels for how you want to be parents.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, we're going to let's just make this a Michael Keaton podcast.
We can absolutely.
I love his stand-up, man. He's got this bit about Bazooka Joe, the comics on Bazooka Joe Bubblegum.
Oh yes,
I won't spoil it for anyone, but Google that. It's Michael Keaton pre Mr. Mom when he was just starting out in LA as a stand-up.
Oh, that's crazy. See, I'm vaguely have vague memory of that, but would have honestly forgotten that he had a stand-up career.
Well, that's why fans haven't changed. They just have a bigger platform. Fans hated they wrote in when they cast him as Batman. Like, he's a comedian. He shouldn't be Batman, which is hilarious to think because like the last Batman they saw on the big screen was Adam West, and they were, worried about. And Tim Burton had only done, was that his third movie after Beetlejuice and Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
Could be, other than the very early stuff that didn't see too much light. But it wasn't, it was early in his career. And I remember the hype around Keaton being Batman. I also remember that 13-year-old me gave no shits that was. I was
why would you?
I was like, this is gonna be amazing. I was more hyped that there was a Batman movie than there was anything else. And then when I actually So I just recorded a podcast episode with a friend for his show, and it's about being nuts for movies called "You're on Crack, Mate," and it's with my friend Sean Ferrick. He's an Irish fellow, so it's always fun to just talk to him. But we broke down Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Cool.
But the reason that's relative is when going to see that movie, that was the first time I saw the teaser poster for Batman '89, and then went down the way there to Hastings, and my uncle bought me my first Batman comic, which was A Lonely Place of Dying, the beginning of the intro to Tim Drake. So I got into
cool.
Batman at a good time.
Yeah, cool. I've
yeah.
never read that run.
Oh, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't have them anymore because somebody filched me for money I owed them. But
yeah, that happens.
But I'm the lucky. Same guy sent my kids like gallon bags full of Star Wars figures to make up for it. So we're cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
He felt bad.
But yeah, as far as like getting those videos out in a timely manner, I wish every video I put out was super timely. Sometimes you miss the mark, but with WandaVision, I wake up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And I start, you know.
When did they drop on your edge of the country?
3 a.m.
Oh wow! So you give it an hour. so the really early birds can back you up with some finds.
There's a few channels that are based out of England, and they just get to wake up at 8 a.m. their time and do them, you know. But it's tough too, because like I could just do a reaction video and then put a more in-depth thing out the next day like New Rockstars does. But the problem is you have more competition the later you wait, you know?
Yep.
And I probably should do just more still frames in the video to make it go faster. Probably will this week because the episode's going to be an hour long, they say. Plus, or 30 minutes and 30 minutes of credits.
What the hell?
So I think we need, because they show like feature film credits at the end of every episode. We're not used to that in TV. Plus the Netflix where they give all the different cast members for different languages.
Those are nice,
dubbing.
Though, actually.
Yeah, that's cool. It just takes a long time.
It does.
So like it's a balance between like I want it to be fast, so you could just put in still frames and riff, but I want it to be good. So I take the time to actually write a script and try to include moving video when you can. It takes a lot longer that way.
So I want to just comment on the way the recent change. I don't know, recent changes, but you have the Easter egg drop, and then you talk about things that, and you're intentionally not spoiling things that you're going to dig into deeper to give us the viewer a chance to think about what you said, and then you drop another video over a couple of days. And I appreciate that because that keeps your content in a digestible format. It's in that 10-15 minute window that I've liked. I'm gonna, whatever it is I'm doing, I can put 15 minutes into getting caught up on this.
Cool.
I for one appreciate it because it fits my viewing need and viewing habit just perfect. So when you started doing those and being like, you know, and plus it gives me something to look forward to. I'm like, oh great, now I can watch something on Saturday and Sunday too.
Oh, thanks, man.
And yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's a kind of a brilliant move, dude.
Well, I wish I don't work on the weekends, and if I did, those would be out faster. Right. If I had something that was really super hot, I could probably hire a freelancer to help us out. But for the most part, it's been tough because I have 4 really great interns who help me out. Unfortunately, because they are also in school, most of them are working the latter half of the week, so it doesn't help me as much to get those videos out. I started doing that because, like, you know, the video, I put that number on the thumbnail, like 71 Easter eggs. It's really like Easter eggs, references, things you missed. It's like little tiny details, and they're not all like intentional Easter eggs they buried. And I noticed like I'm spending a lot of time in these videos talking about theories, which is great. It gets people in the comments and this and that. But then I started thinking, this should be another video. And that's been rough for me because I've had other videos. I'll give you an example. So way back before Infinity War came out, I said, hey, I'm going to do a video about every Infinity Stone and about the symbolism of the movie that it's in. That was the thesis. So I did one video for each movie. And then I got to the one about the Reality Stone, and I had this whole big tangent about Thor's vision. And I was like, actually, this should just be a different video. And that was smart because the Reality Stone video got like 150K, and the other video did 4 million. The Thor's, and that was called. I held off till Infinity War came out, and it was about, and I still think this is true, Thor's vision came true, and then went back to Age of Ultron and found all the little clues and all the little things that Thor saw and went, oh my God, they did this in Infinity War, but for some reason nobody's noticed it yet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That is definitely a tangent. The MCU is something that boy, the way that is just it's so good.
Right.
They've done such a really fantastic job with that. And you and I share a lot of opinion, I think, in the tragedy that is how the DCEU has fared comparatively. Because growing up, not in the comic book necessarily, but in the popular media, we had the Super Friends and Justice.
Yep.
What was it? Not Justice League. They didn't call it that. They called it, or did they? Was that the name of the cartoon, Justice League?
The one in the 2000s was Justice League. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's so, man. That is fantastic.
And then stuff. Justice League Unlimited. Yeah.
Yeah, but the stuff when we were kids, Superman the movie and that whole franchise, DC was my jam, man. And CW,
I love DC and I love DC Comics. And a lot of the CW stuff's great. The best DC stuff, as far as like not comics, is the DC animated universe. Yes. Batman the animated series, Superman, on up through films, Justice League Unlimited.
The recent, do you enjoy the recent films?
Well, no, of course not. Like,
oh no, I meant the animated films.
Oh, I haven't seen many of them.
Oh, like Red Sun and Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman.
No, I still haven't seen Death of Superman or Reign of Super. I want to watch those because those, especially, I got into that whole run in the comics, all that 90s stuff where they were changing characters. The last one of those I saw was Year One. Batman Year One was a good adaptation.
Good one.
Dark Knight Returns, not so much. I got it backwards. Sorry. Year One, I didn't care for as much because I think the narration didn't work as well.
Got it.
But when they freed themselves up from the narration in Dark Knight Returns, I really like that. I never saw The Killing Joke because, like, I think I outgrew the comic, and I don't necessarily need an R-rated animated Batman story.
Right.
I keep hearing great things though. Like
it is. Well, Joe DiMaggio was the Joker. It has Joe DiMaggio or John. Is it John DiMaggio? Not Joe DiMaggio. John DiMaggio.
Yeah, I know
the
Joker.
Yeah. And which is a he does a similar take as Hamill does, but it's in his it's got that kind of a Boston draw in it. It's an interesting take on how the Joker sounds, and I enjoyed it. We have it, and but I'm also a junkie. I'm all in. So
right. See, I love DC Comics. I tweeted the other day, and it kind of blew up on me. I said, to paraphrase, like, DC's Marvel's out here breaking boundaries, and DC's like, hey, guess what? We re-edited a bad movie.
Oh yeah, no, I was in on that.
Right. Now, when I say that though, I'm not talking about, and I did this on the website, I'll have like a Marvel movie versus a DC movie. I don't know why everybody thinks that it's either or, like it's the 1960s and we're still like, you can only afford one comic book. It's not, I'm talking about the studios, like, for whatever reason, Warner Brothers, well, I know what the reason is, because Warner Brothers bought DC Comics a long time ago. And has treated them as IP ever since. And since the AT&T merger, it's gotten even worse. They've gutted the comic book company. A story I tell sometimes, a friend of mine works in merchandising, and at this company, I won't say what it's called just because, maybe he wouldn't want that out there, but he told this story publicly many times. And they had this idea, they had a partnership with Warner Brothers and DC to create mugs, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, that had like the different renditions the depictions of those characters throughout the years. It's like Kurt Swan Superman, John Byrne Superman, and then would have the signatures of the artists beneath them. And they nixed that and said, we don't recognize the creators. This is just like our property, and we don't. But that's interesting because now you can look at Warner Brothers applying that same philosophy, not just the DC movies, but to all of their movies. First of all, look what they did to Zack Snyder. And I'm not a fan of his take on the characters of the Watchmen or just about anything after 300, but they did him dirty in the worst way you can. Like, I'm so glad he's not taking any money for doing this, but he's doing it so other people can work. Like, that's the troubling thing about Zack and Debbie Snyder. Like, they make bad movies, but they're such good people.
Right.
So
good way to be problematic.
Yeah. But you look at that, and then you look at how they treated him, and now you look at how they didn't tell Nolan or the director of Dune that they were going to put their movies out on video. They're basically treating these people as hired guns and not artists, and that's going to bite them in the ass because, like, who's going to want to make a movie with Warner Brothers? You know,
Right.
when Sony's basically desperate, they'll make anything right now just to have
Well,
some
and
IP
then
that's not Spider-Man.
with the new information with the way they treated Roy, as Cyborg
Ray
and
Fisher.
Ray. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
Horrible.
yeah. And
Which goes back to like, apparently Joss Whedon's always been a terrible person.
God
Like,
dang it.
geez. And but worse than that. Okay, so this guy does terrible things, but then there's like this corporation covering it up for him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
It's
haven't
turtles
read
all the way down, man, when it comes to that
Turtles all
kind
the
of
way
garbage.
down.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
garbage.
It's so depressing.
Yeah. And you see the places where they land and you're like, why aren't those same people making these other stories or helping? Because like we noted, the CW shows are relatively good. They're comfortable and they're maybe not risky. I'm looking forward to Superman and Lois because I think that's a great. I like Tyler Hoechlin and the way he's doing that, and I'm looking forward to a hopeful Superman again.
Same. You mean Superman?
Yeah, exactly. The way they did everything, they tied everything up in Crisis on Infinite Earths with Brandon Routh. That's just so good.
See, and I haven't gone back and watched Crisis yet. I bowed out of the CW shows a couple of seasons ago, except for Legends of Tomorrow, because they're just having fun on that show.
That's so bonkers. It's great.
It's great. It's great. It's like, oh, we'll meet George Lucas. We'll meet Tolkien. Let's just do like let's do every episode like they're about to cancel us.
Yeah, of course.
But the reason I stepped away from the CW shows is because there's just too many hours.
Yeah,
I don't have the time. Like they introduced too many, and it's not a bad thing. If you have the time to watch it, great. But I was like, man, there's so much filler in these shows. Like in between to fill time, there's like two characters will go off to the side and have a conversation where they whisper a lot. And then by the end of the episode, they'll be friends again. But it's like, okay, well, that's pointless.
Yeah. And that's the trope of having to fill 20 hours of TV versus the modern take where it's, give me 10, a tight 10, as they say in the comedy realm, over a bloated 20 any day. And that's something that's reinforced. If it weren't just rote memory at this point, as much as I watch Trek, that's one thing that stands out is that there is so much filler that gets you absolutely nowhere.
Sure. Well, it's a difference between, procedure, and there's nothing wrong with the procedural show. It's just that there's just too much shit to watch right now.
Right now.
There's just like, I'm trying to rewatch Batman the Animated Series and the whole run of Star Trek. I just finished TOS, now I'm on TNG. And I'm like, I can't do that. And also watch the new things. And it's just it's overwhelming the amount of choice you have now.
So where did you come from? Where did you grow up?
I'm from Ohio, from a small town. I grew up in a trailer park outside of a small town.
Relative to my interest here in Arkansas.
Yeah. Right.
We share that in common.
Yeah. Cool. No, it's small trailer. And then, went to Ohio University, majored in media studies, which I had no idea I would actually end up doing for a living.
That's crazy.
I worked at a summer camp for 10 years, running the video department, teaching like filming performances and teaching kids how to make short films. And then got to work at this company, Town Square Media, which owns Screen Crush, and eventually became a Screen Crush producer. And then I got invited to be on your show.
Oh, there you go. I mean, that's and that's just like that. That's how life happens. Comes at you fast.
Yeah, that's my eulogy. And then he was invited on the show.
And then boom, boom, boom. So Screen Crush, is that your thing or is it a thing you are a part of?
It's a thing I'm a part of. So that's owned by a company called Town Square Media, who I just mentioned. They also own Double XL, Loudwire, which is hard rock heavy metal, and a website called Pop Crush. So Screen Crush started off just as a website, and it still is. It's a great website. The editor-in-chief's Matt Singer. He's fantastic. And then the YouTube channel was kind of like an offshoot from that. And then that just so happened I was a video editor and I was a writer. And so I brought like a unique combination of skills that at that time the company hadn't really done before. Okay. They've had people who are writers who got good at video, and I just happened to be a video person who got into the YouTube thing,
Fantastic. Well, much to our benefit, I'll say. Now, and with it seems to be primarily focused in the MCU for the most part. Is that just because of the level of output that has? because I mean, you do get to, you do a Wonder Woman thing, and you do and you do the Zack Snyder or the JL breakdown with the trailer and everything, which was really great, by the way, and actually, got me some kind of over, meh plus. So about seeing it, cool. Which is good, because there are some things that let the man have his day. I'm not a fan of how we got here, though.
I hope it's great.
I do. I
really do. Like, if you look at like the DCEU, our big complaint as fandom was, why are you cramming all these characters into Batman versus Superman? They should have their own movies. You're clearly rushing it. We don't trust you. You're not one of us.
Exactly.
To the corporation. So this is the template they originally laid out. Like, let's introduce the characters here and then let them go off in their own movies. So it might be great. It might be. We might even, because they're introducing the multiverse in all these movies, I'm able to let go of the idea that like there's one Spider-Man, there's one kind of Batman. Maybe there is maybe I can find room in my heart for a Superman that kills. I can't ever do that. Sorry.
No, that was wrong.
I can't. Yeah. But if they did like a Red Sun Superman or an offshoot, that's why I'm most excited about the Nightmare sequence, because there's this great JLA storyline called Rock of Ages. It seems like it's sort of based on that. So this idea of like, no, man, we're just going to put them in the future and everything's bad, and they have to like, it's a totally different set of circumstances from what we've seen them in before. I'm pumped about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously giving more attention to the VFX is going to just make it watchable.
Right. Well, of course,
for that angle.
Yeah.
I am no stranger to stating that I have yet to make it through the last 30 minutes of that movie. Tend to fall asleep.
Oh, it's pretty bad. The sky is, they just to cover up the undone effects. It was just red, and they put a red tint on everything.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, except that looks effects.
Good. Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that's me hacking away in some photo editor.
But yeah, it's a shame. There is one thing in Justice League I really love, and that's when Aquaman just goes off on a rant.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird and awkward, and it turns out he's sitting on the magic lasso.
Oh, yes,
like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's a Buffy scene. Yeah, that's totally a Joss Whedon joint. And I was like, yeah,
that's funny. Cool. Yeah, because it's unexpected, and it's like it is akin to, but in a darker way, the way the Scepter is manipulating the conversation in the lab in the Avengers, right? When you kind of realize that, oh, hey, this isn't them actually. It's something else at play. But yeah, no.
Well, it's feeding what's already there. It's like alcohol. It's like a good bottle of bourbon. It's not going to make you say things you would never think. It's just going to make you say the things anyway. You would never say out loud. Yeah, exactly.
Say them anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, how'd you get to New York?
Car.
Yeah, you drove from.
No,
Ohio?
I came here to do stand up and sketch. So I still was doing that semi regularly. But then you get busier and busier with work, and it just didn't. I was able, like, the same creative itch that I needed stand up and sketch to scratch. I was able to do through my actual work.
Kind of the format of the videos. That makes a lot of sense now, actually.
Yeah, I try. There have been times I've finished a video and I've been like, this isn't funny. I have to go back in and put in some jokes or some cutaways to make this more fast paced.
A little spice.
Yeah, it's just too much of me talking. I have
to find always dump to Doug, clip. When you're stuck, just dump to Doug. That's a win every time.
If we were in the studio, yeah, but like now the studio's all packed up. I haven't figured out the live action format yet. I did go ahead and record a bunch of intro outros in the studio. So like the next few episodes, we have some unfinished videos. But I don't know, man, in about a month, I'm gonna have to get creative with the format.
Is the studio's packed in for the time being?
No, it's done for now. Like we had an office, and all through the pandemic, they were paying this really high rent because like I said, Town Square is like a really big company.
Yeah.
So they had to pack it in because the lease was up, and it's like, why would we keep paying rent
that lease
somewhere else?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's down temporarily.
Green screen.
I don't know,
man.
I hate green screens.
I
I
know
really
though.
do. I
It doesn't
hate it.
come
I
off the
hate them.
same at all.
I got a few ideas I'm pretty excited about.
Right on. Well, I
Like right.
look forward to it because I mean, you go back far enough, and this wouldn't be the first time the format's changed. And
No, it used to be audio only, and then I'd switch to a green screen because I was like, this will be easier to edit because I don't have to cut away to something all the time. And yeah, it'll be fine. I just love that set. I miss the video store.
it's
Miss it pretty
perfect.
bad.
Yeah, no, it's
And
well, as so, obviously the nods to Blockbuster, just the way it's styled, the way it's laid out, but just video stores in general.
mhm.
When I was 14, 15 years old, in that range, I lived 2 houses up from a video store.
Oh my.
So yeah, man, I got a
Yeah.
lot of posters and watched a lot of movies, and
Yeah.
sometimes I got a bonus movie for free, but yeah, man, it was great. Also, was ridiculous because when I got steady job at 16, and they let me finance, of course, at ridiculous rate, a VCR and a DVD, not a DVD player, a CD player, 5 disc CD
Mhm.
changer, and I was like, man, this
I
is
had one of those.
ridiculous. Well,
Yeah, I
I
had one
mean,
of
so
those.
all your jams, all your jams. How is she going to listen to Rush all night long without a 5 disc changer? I mean, even though their albums are just inherently that long, but yeah. So a lot of that, um, and then of course, work or going to work in movie theaters, film, big part of everything that I've done.
Yeah.
Growing up near a video store will definitely have an influence on you, and so I was super pumped with that style. Oh, and then here in town, when I moved to Conway for college, there was a video store in town, independent, called Starstruck Video, and their tagline was "Our movies don't suck," which is
I
fantastic.
like
And
that. Yeah.
you could get anything, back room, anything. You could
Right.
go in that store, and James didn't have it. James would find it, and he was also,
Yeah.
if you're good friends, he would slip you the preview tapes of movies that were yet to
Oh,
actually come.
nice.
With the little
Yeah.
message that if you're
Yeah, my
if you're
sister worked in a video store. We have a few of those.
yeah, if you're watching this,
Hey,
you're breaking the law.
here's a question I love asking people. What was the last movie you rented in the video store?
Oh, dang, gosh, I wouldn't be able to remember. It would have been in the late 90s, early 2000s. And once I had a DVD player, I just bought them. So I usually
Okay.
quit renting them. And yeah, man, that's like 22 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Well, I happen
it's
to
been a
remember
minute.
mine.
Yeah,
It
what
was
was it?
my wife's Scottish, so we were visiting her family in
Oh,
Scotland,
fantastic.
and they had a video store there still. It was 2012, and we rented Midnight in Paris,
Oh, wow.
which is a pretty appropriate movie to say goodbye to an era.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Exactly.
that's all. It's all about nostalgia and pining for old media. And I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't know what it was about. Just we happened to rent it, and I just always loved like. So
Cool.
I probably wouldn't do it again. Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
rent another video because I'd be like, I've already said good. I've said the
It says
perfect goodbye.
goodbye. I know now
Yeah, yeah,
everything's different now. It's
yeah.
how easily can I get what I own onto my Plex server these days?
Right.
So that I don't have to get up and put in a disc. And then other than that, it's like I'm subscribed to everything else. So I very rarely, there isn't anything I can't watch these days,
Yeah.
which is great and also kind of sad because, they don't thread
Yeah.
projectors anymore, man,
No.
and
That was my favorite job I ever had, working in a movie theater. I wasn't there long enough to do anything besides work concession, but you
yeah.
get to see free movies, get free
Yep.
popcorn.
Oh man, it was great.
Perfect job.
I'm
Yeah.
still paying for the free popcorn though.
Yeah.
Unlimited popcorn and soda for 7 years has an impact on one's
Yeah,
body.
that'll do it to you. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you got to New York. You got to be a part of this cool channel. What other what else do you do? That's the full-time job. Is that right? Screen
Yeah.
crushing. Yeah.
Right now, that's pretty much all I do. A couple other side projects. I have a podcast of my own that's a space serial adventure podcast called Rick Pulsar Galactic Night of Space Justice.
How am
That
I just
I've
hearing
been,
about this? I need to get right on this. It sounds amazing.
I think it's on my Twitter. It's the reason I don't talk about it much is because I haven't finished the second season. It's embarrassing how little work I do on it because I hate editing, especially audio editing. Like it's really boring. So it's been kind of it's finished, it's written, it's mostly recorded. I probably have a few more actor roles to fill, but it's a lot of fun. Like I really like that. And I wrote a novel that I'm still like revising. Finished the first draft of it like 10 years ago. But novels are tough, and I got other ideas for screenplays and things, but I have a tendency to get too mired in one project for too long instead of just like moving on to the next thing. And then
you're bored of it.
Well, bored and just it's too daunting, like it's too like, oh, it's so much work. And I have the same problem making these videos where the hardest time making a WandaVision video is after I finish making the notes, and it's, I don't know, at that point, 8 a.m. And I'm starting to feel tired, and I'm like, man, this is going to be a lot of work. It's that blank page. It's when you first start getting that script together, or even after you record it, you put it in the timeline for the first time. You're like, God,
it's gonna take forever. Well, that's I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. That's why the format of this show is incredibly loose and footloose and fancy free, because editing is no. I will lop off the bits at the beginning and the end, and except for the raw stuff goes out to the patrons on Patreon, so they hear all the fun stuff. But yeah, no, editing is that's one of the things that has kind of been my barrier to getting more into doing video. Is just, I know what editing is like, and I would have to learn some things. It's been a long time since I was even adept at iMovie, and I have access to Final Cut Pro, so why wouldn't I learn something better?
Which is basically iMovie.
Yeah, it is. It's just jumped up a little. But I got this fancy Mac. I should probably put it through some paces so that the fans get a workout. But yeah, so I can empathize with that heavily, that it's the negative inertia as a way to inertia is maybe not negative or positive. It's just you either are inert or you have inertia.
Well, it's the only thing in the world that's perpetual.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. If we could have
doing nothing.
If we had an inertia machine, we'd be set, man. It's kind of like the improbability drive, right?
An inertia machine would just create nothing. It would end the universe, because the only thing that's perpetual is nothing. Yeah,
that's true. That's so existential.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not a scientist. I'd build the fucker just to try it. and like the history eraser button, just into existence.
It's kind of like the end of Cabin in the Woods. Maybe we don't deserve to live.
Yeah, maybe we as an audience are terrible people and should.
Oh geez,
you talk about a movie. I wouldn't mind seeing that exact same premise applied if they can make a Cabin in the Woods, but for Star Wars. That basically is an indictment of Star Wars fans and how terrible they are, and that would be the ultimate.
Hey, you know what? It wasn't Lucas who ruined our childhood. I mean, he had some hand in it.
People have been complaining about Star Wars since 1980. No, since when did the holiday special come out? 79, 78? People have been complaining about Star Wars since there have been Star Wars. Since before I was born. And I think it's really adorable. Like when Rise of Skywalker came out, I was beside myself. Like I hated it so much. We went to go see it with my wife's family, and I kept getting up to go to the bathroom because I was like, this is painful. This movie. But even then, I'm like, why am I still doing this to myself? I have a friend named Adam Garcia, producer of Wired. He's great. He's a big Star Wars fan on Twitter. You should follow him. He always does countdowns. He's doing a countdown to Rogue One right now. It's 3,000 something days, but he's counting them down, or 1,000 days. And his motto is always like, every Star Wars is good Star Wars. And that's a great motto in theory. But even after Rise of Skywalker, he was like,
in the moment. So unlike yourself, I was committed in the moment for several reasons. Boy, there was a lot going on. It was a positive thing in a time of darkness. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, had either just or was in the process of passing away at the end of that year. So I took my kids as a distraction, for myself as a distraction. So, that was something.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
And then I got to take his kids to it too, as Uncle Dan.
That's great.
Yeah. And those memories, and also, I mean, Babu Frick was, he was
great.
The only thing. Really?
Yeah, he was the best thing in the movie, right? But see, but that's what the movies. That's what it's for. Yeah. It's the escapism. It's fun. It's joy. And what amazes me about Star Wars fans is like, there's nothing in the world with a better message that's more positive than Star Wars. Like the whole point of Star Wars is that we're better together than we are apart. We're all part of a universal thing, and we should all just be united and work together and like love each other. And that's the point of Star Wars. And we bitch about it and bitch about it, and we just find ways to divide ourselves. That's not what I think Star Wars is. Like, well, no, because it's not just for you, it's for him and her. And I say this as somebody who, like,
I love it still, despite myself.
I made a video of myself yelling at a puppet of J.J. Abrams about how much I dislike the Star Wars movie. I'm part of it, you know.
Yeah, but you did it in a way where you were basically venting to yourself, and that's commendable.
Yeah. Well, there's two versions of that video. The first one, I was actually pretty angry. I was yelling at the puppet, and it's one of the few times, Matt, who's editor-in-chief of Screen Crush, I used to, like, when I first started, he watched every video and gave notes on it, and thank God he did, because he steered me on the right path. But he doesn't usually do that now. But that's one I showed him, and I was like, hey, can you just let me know if I go too far in this? And he was like, you went too far.
Ooh,
don't do that.
Turn it down.
Yeah, well, he was right, and I knew he was right, or else I wouldn't have asked him to watch it. So I toned it down, and rightly so. If I had a Patreon, I guess I'd put it out on that.
Someone who has
it's the same video. It just, yeah. Sorry, it's the same video. It's just that, like, I come off as a douche.
That's fair. I have an account that's specifically for screaming into the void, so no one hears it.
Nice. That's
sometimes it you have to have it out there just to, I mean, the way my brain works is like, if I don't let it out, it's just going to be in here forever. And I recently learned there are folks who don't have a continuous internal monologue with themselves, and I'm wondering how that works.
I've heard there's people who don't constantly think in movie quotes, and I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, no,
I didn't know that was possible.
I'm thinking in memory, I'm thinking in color, I dream. I mean, my brain is constantly on, which is somewhat exhausting, but I also don't know that there's any other way to live. So, it's kind of fair. And I got a feeling like that's the kind of energy you have, because based on the way, based on the output and stuff. But that's as far as that, not to get into negativity, but it is something that you and I as fans, we've seen negative fans have an impact that takes something that we enjoyed away. I liked Rose,
I love Rose,
and to see what should have been her role given to somebody else. We won't say it was taken away. It was given to somebody else when she could have fit that part in the story just as easily and been more endearing to me about it. And knowing why it wasn't her makes me angry.
Same.
Yeah.
And that's the big problem with Rise of Skywalker is you can see
the
Star Wars is supposed to transport you, but you can see the studio pulling the strings. It's like if you're watching a puppet show, you don't want to see the strings, and that's exactly what it was. That's one of the reasons why I thought it'd be appropriate to have a puppet of JJ, is because it's clearly not JJ, and this was clearly not it was clearly not like the story of Star Wars. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is kind of weird. This goes back for me to, like, when I was in high school and college, like Marvel Comics or DC Comics, but Marvel especially hasn't revamped their universe. They've been in the same universe since the 1940s. So if you read a Marvel comic, you're picking up a story that's almost 100 years old.
Yeah.
So in my head as a kid, I know Spider-Man's not real, but there's a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There's a Spider-Man who, maybe it's a committee of guys or whatever, but that's what the Spider-Man does. And then the Clone Saga story happened in the comics, and that was the first time I realized, this is just like people writing. This is like you could tell it was a company dragging it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was really disheartening. And I had similar experiences, like the first time I saw Frank Oz working Yoda.
Yeah.
Or Jim Henson working Kermit. It's that surprise. So to have that happen, like in Star Wars on the big screen with the hundreds of $1 million budget was just really depressing.
Well, and then the admittance that no, we plan what plan? No, we didn't map this shit out. Just like,
how do you do that?
You ad-libbed 3 movies?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And then okay. Having not known that, and the only reason to admit that is because Rise of Skywalker was what it was. Because you could have gotten away with Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and if you had taken those blocks and built the movie that could have been made, then no one would have ever known that it was Hapdash. But you told me, and so I resent it even more now. And this, I mean, you have we've gone over this.
Yeah. Well, have you read or like seen my recap on Colin Trevorrow's draft?
No, I haven't.
It's great. It's great. You should really like read up on it or just watch the video where I summarize it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's some speculation on why they didn't use it. One of the reasons is that after Carrie Fisher passed away, she was featured very heavily in it, so they needed to rework it. But it's a perfect cap to The Last Jedi, to the whole series. It reinvents, adds some new things to the saga. I'll give you a small thing from it that I really like. The whole point of the movie is that the First Order, who's now in Coruscant, has blocked the signal, so they literally can't reach other planets and other people to call rally to arms. So they have to infiltrate the old Jedi temple in Coruscant, which is full of like homeless people huddled over barrels, because the technology predates Imperial technology, which the First Order is based on. So they can do a beacon there, an old-fashioned, High Republic beacon.
Oh, nice.
And other stuff's going on with Rey and Kylo Ren and all this other stuff. That's pretty great, where Kylo Ren becomes like a psychic vampire, and he learns from the like Lovecraftian monster who taught Palpatine how to do that shit. Palpatine's not in it because that's the worst thing about any of these movies. So there's this great sequence in it where when Rose and Finn finally get this beacon lit, it's like the beacons of Gondor in Return of the King, and you like see it like relaying across the galaxy and these different planets picking it up, which like you're able to go to every planet. You can see Naboo, you can see Geonosis. You could bring the whole saga together in that one sequence. And I'm just like hearing this dude on this podcast talk about it. I'm like, why the fuck did they not do that?
It's like learning about the lost cut of Event Horizon. You're better off not knowing it existed.
Right. Well, and back in the day, it was the Donner cut of Superman 2, which, is that everything that's old is new again. Like Zack Snyder, the Snyder cut, the same thing. Except they're actually not doing it after the main actors died, and they can finish the movie for real.
Well, the Donner cut is my canonical Superman 2. I can skip the cellophanase.
It was also Bryan Singer's. That's why Superman Returns bombed, because he made a sequel to a movie that was never released in theaters.
Nobody ever saw, right?
yeah, right. Exactly.
But that's also
at that
probably
point,
why
I don't even think that the Donner cut had been released on DVD at that point when Superman Returns came out.
Yeah, in
I'm
2006.
Not sure. I'm curious.
I'd have to look up the dates. But I'm in on Superman Returns. One of my favorite.
Oh, I like it.
One of my favorite facts about that movie is that Superman throws not one single punch the entire film.
He doesn't.
He doesn't. He saves people.
Because he doesn't need to.
Yeah, because he's Superman. He doesn't want to hit you. He's not a guy that wants to hit you. He definitely doesn't want to, cause billions of dollars worth of damage and lost life.
I watched a video the other day. It was pretty. I wish I could remember the channel and give them credit for it. It was about. I think it might have been Nerdstalgic. It was about superhero fights where they fly, and just how they're bad. Yeah. Like Superman fighting Zod, they're flying, they're building. It doesn't really mean anything. But Shazam made a point of like grounding the characters in a mall. And I did something similar. I did a video comparing Aquaman to Black Panther, and my main problem with that is that when they fight in Aquaman, you never really get a feeling for like, how do they stop? How do they swim so fast? What are the rules?
Right.
As far as how that works. The same thing applies when Superman is like flying around with Zod, beating each other into buildings. It's the same reason that the last fight with Agent Smith didn't work in Revolutions between him and Neo, because when there's two characters that powerful and they're not grounded, whereas in the first Matrix, when a character gets his face knocked into a toilet, you feel it. There's a grounding there.
Yep. And that's, and that's just something that, especially like you brought up the Black Panther, and that fight just takes you right out of the movie for everything that it is. And those are the moments where I'm like, somebody watched this and said, we're cool.
Yeah.
And I get it. Sometimes you're sunk cost fallacy, but at the same time,
right. It's just that they said, let's go into the heart of the vibranium mine, which never looked that good to begin with.
Yeah.
Because every time those masks come down in Black Panther, it's great.
Yeah.
When it's these two guys working off each other, you just wanted to see it dirty and slimy and dusty. And it
isn't a place that we can imagine ourselves being. You know, we can
Yeah.
imagine ourselves on a cliff top and waterfall top in, you
Hmm.
know, in some jungle somewhere or some, you know, some landscape anywhere. Well, that's a place we can go. That's a place we can imagine ourselves. I've never seen or been to a vibranium mine or any mine.
Right. Or any
I've been in
mind.
some
Right.
caves, but you know,
Right.
um, but you know, when it comes to the toxic fandom having an influence on things, you know, the Star Trek fandom has entered the chat.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know if you keep up with that to the same degree, but you know there is a lot of there are a lot of negative folks on that who have that same "not my Star Trek," you know, this isn't Trek.
Hmm.
And if you're old enough, you remember that that has been every Star Trek since the original Star Trek has
Yeah.
been not real Star Trek.
Yeah. TNG had its detractors, you know,
The
who
emotion
were like,
picture had its
yeah,
detractors, you know.
that's very true. That's very true.
People were like, "That's not Star
Well,
Trek."
well, like it's kind of it's a little justified with Star Trek though. So I don't want to be like the 1 millionth person to come along and shit on Discovery, because Discovery is it's a good show. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the high production value, but then you go back and you go, okay, again, it's like Marvel Comics. You're telling this story. You're part of a longer story. Why do the Klingons look like that? You know, it takes you out of it. It makes you wonder, like, why do these guys suddenly look different? It's not the first time the Klingons have changed, but
right.
how would they go from looking human like, sorry, to looking like that, to looking human like, to looking like Worf, you know?
When
And
especially when we
it's
already retconned the augment virus and Enterprise, which
right.
is
It's yeah,
predates
exactly.
the
Exactly.
continuity has never been
Right.
Trek's strong suit.
But they've managed to work around it. Like when, you know, the great episode of DS9 where they go back in Trouble with Tribbles and someone says to Worf, that's a Klingon, and Worf
We don't
goes, we
talk
don't
about it.
talk about it.
Yeah, it's great. It's
It's the
totally
best,
great.
right?
Yeah.
But like, okay, with Discovery too, I just got to point one thing out about Discovery that my wife pointed out, and I can't not hear it anymore.
Right.
Michael Burnham whispers everything.
She
Every
kind of
line she
does.
whispers. Yeah. Um, but with Discovery, I keep watching that show and going, why is this the Michael Burnham show? You know, my favorite episodes of TNG or any of the other Trek are like where we get to know the other members of the crew, and there's
Right.
almost none of that. My favorite
Right.
episode of Discovery is the one where Saru goes to his planet and they realize the species isn't actually docile. It's a great episode.
Yep.
Um, and then Picard was good, but like we're doing the same kind of whip panty fight. Like Star Trek isn't about fights.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Stop trying to turn Star Trek into Star Wars. It's
That's a
just,
fair point.
it's not. Like, I'm so sick of that. And that's why fans have responded so well to the Orville. And yeah, the Orville will take like two different TNG stories and mash them together, but it's the presentation, it's the, you know, it's the feeling of it. You know, the
Right.
best Star
It's the
Trek lately has been
familiarity
lower.
of it.
It's Lower Decks. That's my
It
favorite
is
Star Trek
so
lately.
great.
You know, I
So
love Lower
great.
Decks. Even
That
when
show
did
is
you see
amazing.
like the last episode when Riker's it's the best line.
2, 9,
When
5,
Riker
6,
shows up
7, 8.
and says, yeah, and he says, oh yeah, just like the crew on the original Prize, Archer and those guys,
Yeah.
they had a long way getting from here to there.
Just it's the best. It's the best. And he's, you know, he's riffing on himself because of the that one-off episode of Enterprise that they made that, you know, we don't usually talk about. These are the voyages. Kind of it sits off on its own.
Really? And that's one of the tracks I haven't seen all the way through.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go.
The Enterprise references are
Enterprise.
lost on me.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I'm
there you
working
go.
my
So
way there.
you may come to it. I don't know where
Oh, I
your
will.
feelings are on the theme song, but
It
I'm a fan.
sucks. Like,
You
yeah.
think it sucks?
I think it sucks because like all the Star Trek themes are about like that bold feeling of exploration,
Right.
you know,
So
and it's just too damn out of place for me. It sticks
what
out
I'll
like a
tell you
sore thumb.
is do yourself the favor of giving it a few chances while letting the images tell the story to the music.
The images are great. The
Yeah,
theme of like the explorer, I love that. I think Discovery has a great
it's a
opening credits
really
and
cool
great theme
opening.
song.
It's a
It's
really cool opening.
fantastic. I think it's the best one. I
The
mean,
blueprint thing really caught me. Like that struck me from the very
yeah.
first episode, and I was like, this, you know, this, it gives it a feel of like we're building something,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
Mm-hmm.
to your point, you know, like you said, it isn't that it is, you know, we don't want, or it isn't worthy to have Michael Burnham be the focus of the show, but we have a limited number of episodes, but
Yeah.
I really connected because of the mental health aspect with Detmer this season, and that's
Well,
that's the biggest thing
I
I
haven't
known
finished
about
the
her.
season. Yeah, I
Okay.
haven't finished the season yet,
Okay,
but
so I
that's
won't
okay. That's
spoil
okay.
anything.
Yeah.
There's a point where I can identify with that.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Well, but hold on. You just said the character's name Detmer.
yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, gotcha.
And
Okay.
for me, that's how poorly developed the supporting cast is. And to your point earlier, when you said it's hard to fill 22 hours talking about the CW, I just want more discovery.
Yeah.
I would rather see some cheap episodes, not quite as cheap as that TNG episode that's like a bottle episode inside Riker's memories. It's just a clip show. Not that cheap, but I would like to see some little one-offs that aren't necessarily part of or integral to that whole story they're telling,
That's awesome.
like just
yeah.
to flesh them out, to get them know, which one's Detmer.
So that's she's the helmsman with red hair, with the shaved side,
Oh,
and the cybernetic eye. Yeah,
she great character, and they didn't really start developing her until season 2. Season 1, you had no idea who she was.
Yeah, she was bridge crew, who
Yeah.
obviously was injured between her time on the Shinzo and her time on Discovery.
Yes.
And there's conflict there. Obviously, there are so many people on the crew who have the connect. Owo and who's the other the con side. She and Detmer were on the Shinzo and had that history with Michael too, and that conflict is never addressed. And not that it has to be, but it needs to be played into some.
But you get it through Saru.
Yeah,
that's where they develop that.
Yeah, I guess he got to be that focal.
He's my favorite character in the show.
Oh, absolutely.
He's just one of the best Star Trek characters of all time.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and then Doug Jones is absolutely great.
Yeah, he is in everything.
As a human, as an actor, as a character in Star Trek. Yeah, it's
nice hearing. It's nice getting to hear him talk.
Yeah, and then getting to see him. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop right there.
When I finish the season, I'll come back.
Yeah, we'll have to. Well, we do come back around on these. We're gonna have sequel episodes. That's the plan of the show, anyway. But are there any big projects on the front that you're excited about that are going to get out there soon? Or
there's a few. The not Mandalorian. WandaVision's taken all the air out of the room right now, and rightly so. It's huge. It's great. It's popular.
And it's kind of the only thing happening, really.
Not for long.
Yeah,
we're gonna get slammed pretty soon. I've had a video I've been working on. It's embarrassing how long I've been working on this video. It's just it's an exploration of like all the samurai and Western influences on the Mandalorian. It was supposed to come out before season 2 came out, and then season 2 obviously just went all in on those references. Now I'm like, well, time to rewrite. Time to add things in. But it wasn't even done before that. It's really in dire need of getting finished soon. But that's the kind of project that, because it's not timely and I just want it to be done right, and it's hard to find, like it's all split screen, so it's really hard to find clips that match, to go through. And I watched hours and hours and hours of samurai and Westerns to gear up for it, and I don't remember every angle. It's hard to go through sometimes and find those. So I'm looking forward to finishing that. Lots more theory videos, Easter egg videos. We've got a few versus video essays I'm pretty excited about. Some which are written, some aren't. I got a Avengers Endgame versus Rise of Skywalker video in me somewhere. That's going to get out soon. Yeah. Cobra Kai. Awesome. We're doing some Cobra Kai stuff.
Oh, my youngest has been a big fan of Cobra Kai. He binged it before he even he watched that before he had even seen The Karate Kid, which, I take that as a failing as a father and a parent.
Well, yeah, but I think that's an interesting way to watch it because you view it completely differently.
Yeah. And he's the same age I was when that came out. So it's kind of interesting to see his take on it too. Yeah.
I like that show so much I haven't finished it.
I
was like, look, I'm going to stop at the beginning of season 2 and write a video. So that way, when I put this video out, I can tell everybody at the start, hey, I've only ever seen the first season. So like, don't worry about spoilers.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I do that sometimes. Like I love Kurt Vonnegut. Haven't read every Kurt Vonnegut novel yet. You want to pace yourself out.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, because now too, it's with that especially, that's something there is not going to be more made of. They're not going to be any more
exactly.
Kurt Vonnegut
Yeah,
novels being made.
yeah.
And that's that is something, and that is something I really appreciate about the recent the non binge drop. The weekly drops, traditional television, is, yes,
Hmm.
bravissimo.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
fantastic, because especially this past year, having something to wait for has been
Yep.
a marker. It's given us something to look forward to. It's given us a thing where we can know what day it is.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
and it's something to enjoy. And to the point that, even going back and rewatching some things like Battlestar Galactica, 2004, and Stargate SG-1 with
Hmm.
the two older boys, we take it one episode at a time, try to do maybe one, no more than two a week. We tend
Hmm.
to couple up the two-parters just because that way you have that continuation. But
Sure.
like we do the season cliffhanger, you're going to wait till next week,
Oh, nice.
savor
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And they
Yeah.
appreciate it, that one, it's something for us to do
Yeah.
together. And Noah has been completely enjoying Battlestar Galactica. And he's a big Rosalind fan, as one should be. uh
Right.
and
I miss
really
that
digging it.
show.
Oh
Yeah.
man, it was done so well.
Well, I think also when you binge watch, you lose. I don't think the viewing that you give the fourth episode of a binge watch is the same quality viewing you give the first one.
It is not. It is
You
not.
get distracted. You're on your phone. It's not the right way to watch things. I'm
Nope.
trying to. Especially with comedies. Like I have a bad habit of like binging. I'm watching Archer right now, getting caught up on the seasons, and like that's really hard to. You don't want to binge watch it. Veep, I've just now gotten into. You got to cut yourself off at two episodes and watch a different kind of thing. Watch a
Yep.
drama or something. Um, yeah, and especially I can't. I wish I could remember who pointed this out on Twitter, but if Mandalorian would have been, a dump and pump like all the Netflix shows are, we wouldn't have been talking about Cobb Vanth or
Nope.
Sabine Wren or Ahsoka Tano. Only would have been talking about Luke,
Yep.
and really, which it wouldn't even be justified because Luke is a cameo,
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
was great and it was done well and all that, but like. It doesn't like in the whole of the series. There's other
That wasn't the
aspects that were
point.
introduced. That yeah, exactly. And the boys did the same thing, pissed off a lot of people. And I still see people bitching about WandaVision.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to have to wait. I'm like, it's TV. That's the format of television.
Well, not
You
only
know
that, it is so meta because of the format that the show is done in. If
exactly,
you did it
exactly.
as it would break the thing.
It'd be
Really,
terrible. It would be yeah. No,
I
they crafted a
100% trust the
completely
people
unique
making that
story.
show.
Me too.
So
Me too.
far,
My
they were gonna
I
have it's theirs to lose at this point.
and I'm curious to see like the theories are fun. Um, I don't I'm coming down on this one, and I might make a video about this Monday, depending on this episode. No Mephisto, no Nightmare, no Hydra. Um, I did a video that basically theorized that Wanda's created a split personality for herself,
Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
she's the one, and I think that's what's going to be more of that. I think your real villain is Sword. I think Hayward isn't going to be the devil. I think he's just going to be a guy who like got fucked up during the snap,
The
went a little bit
anti-Fury.
too far. He's the anti-Fury. Yeah, basically. Um, I and I think there's another shot from the trailer where Wanda's in like a prison uniform or scrubs or something. I think that she was committed and the recreated the Mind Stone, but then it expanded. And the trailer, you see the Mind Stone's in the shape of a hexagon. That's all it is. The Vision's alive because he's inside a living Mind Stone.
Yep.
And at first I was like, oh, that's somebody messing with their head, and he doesn't really look like that. That's wishful thinking. He's totally dead. Like he's still like, but it's the Mind Stone energy that's keeping him alive. And I
The
think it's so
corpses
much
are
more
corpses,
powerful.
y'all.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, not Pietro. That's the interesting one because like I don't know if this is a multiverse thing. I don't know like if it's not a multiverse thing, why would you cast Evan Peters? Is it just because they're going for meta? They may never explain it, and I don't care. I'm fine with that.
Yep. And that's that's an excellent point, and that's something that we have come to I think we've come to disregard, is the not knowing sometimes is just fine. We don't we don't have to be that's one thing. And I enjoyed the film overall. It was a lot of fun, but we don't need an explanation for why his last name is Solo. It can just be his last name,
Who cares? Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't. Yeah,
we're not into
I don't.
his genealogy.
I don't know why. There's a great Red Letter Media video that came out. Oh, when they first announced the Han Solo movie, and it's just these three guys going, "Oh yeah, you know what's going to happen in it? We're gonna like." He's going to meet, they're going to be like, oh, here's a monster. And we're going to think, oh, it's a monster, but it ends up being Chewbacca. Everything they say in this video came true. Like, oh, he's going to do the Kessel Run, but like, you know, it's going to be in a different way. Like they just said everything that actually happened in the movie, except for the pansexual robot.
Well, which, you know, is two things about that. That's an interesting thing to throw into the universe. And that may be the most interesting thing to come from that movie. Okay. And then they made her a prisoner, which is weird. I don't want to be a robot. I want a robot lib. And then you make them the nav computer for the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
A little, but their number is leet speak. It literally L337 is, you know, internet speak for elite. If you go back into the hacker days.
Neat. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, so there was a whole chat culture, and it's called leet speak, and it's like you spell common words different. It's where like pwned come from. Because it's common, or just to be fun. But yeah, L337 is old leet speak for elite. I'm like an elite hacker. And so that's one thing that always caught me. Yeah. Thought that was always a cool nod. But yeah, you know, the mystery is sometimes just fine, you know. If you start to overthink things in a serious way, you know, thought experiments about your sci-fi and the world they operate in, totally fine. That's how we come up with fan theories and things like that. You know, and take an issue with the ways the stories are told or the kinds of stories they're telling in a creative way, as long as you're not the work. It's about the work and not the people who do the work, because those people aren't, you know, maybe the ones who made it that way. First of all, the work they did might not be what you see, because if we go down, you know, Han Solo is obviously a corporate checklist. You know,
100%.
fans. There's a difference between, you know, giving the fans what they want and fan service. As a fan, I'm interested in being served, but also, you know, surprise me. Give me what I want, but not the way I expect it. That's more rewarding than just, you know,
100%.
Yeah. So, well, you know, Ryan, we're kind of drawn to the finish line here, linear nature of time, and unless you have the Eye of Agamotto, we're not going to be able to.
Unfortunately, no. I left it in my other
extend
gene.
this. Yeah. Well, you know, you did just recently move, so you moved from the Sanctum Sanctorum to wherever it is you're having a hold up office now. Obviously, the battlefield. I do want to say, commenting on that battlefield or that background, man. Talk about epic moments in comic book history.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
There are two.
And sorry, you know, it's amazing how I've seen that movie, I don't know, a dozen times at this point, and it wasn't until very recently that I noticed your mom.
Right. Oh, yes. Yes. You did the thing.
I did the thing. Yeah. I don't normally do the thing on a podcast, but I did it.
No, you did. Dope, bro. Listen, I'm a fan. I was telling my wife about it. She thought it was funny, me just telling her. And I was like, man, people give him shit for that. And I would be super sad if that goes away, because
I just think it's really dumb. I just think it's dumb. I think
that's stupid thing.
Yeah, I think basically what I do in a lot of ways is dumb. Like there's people out there who are actually like technical masters and crafting these wonderful stories, and then guys like me come along and go, well, "Did you notice this?" You know,
right? You know,
come on, like, you know, it's a silly job.
Exactly. Well, and that's kind of what I say about this podcast. Is if I were being paid to do it, it'd be a whole lot more professional. This part of it, but that's, you know, when the ladies show up. And we have that what I like to call the 2-page spread, you know, or the reboot. Yeah, it's like the 90s reboot X-Men panels, right? The whole cover spread of and then the moment behind you where everybody just shows up, and then one of the reasons that, one, I don't understand all the hate on Age of Ultron. It's actually kind of a really good movie for me. I enjoy it.
It's a beautiful mess.
Yeah, exactly. Like most good things are. Have you read
Right.
comics? But
Right.
that opening sequence where it's the money shot of the Avengers at the beginning, that's just pure joy for me. I'm like, look at the guy, and super exciting. But man, we'll have to have you back on as we talked pre-show. We maybe find a way to play some Dungeons and Dragons together.
It'd
And
be
get
fun.
you guys hooked into the world's most popular role-playing adventure game, and just keep in touch, because it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you and nerding out over. This is entirely what I thought would happen. So
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, what are you expect, folks? What did it's exactly what's on the tin. But are there any other links, projects that you link to,
No,
charities
follow
that
me
you're
on
interested in?
follow. No, I don't do any charities. Unfortunately, I should. Just Twitter Ryan Aery, and then Screen Crush YouTube channel.
Yep. All right. And I'll put those links in the show notes, because both of those are required homework for following the Commodore on Twitter, so that we can have reasonable and educated discussions about pop culture. But folks, if you have enjoyed this show, you can really help things out by just sharing it with your friends on all your socials, and being sure to tag the guests in that, so they get credit for coming on the show and making time for it. If you're super interested in supporting the show, you can do that through Patreon at patreon.com/DANDECKR, and you can get in on early access for as little as $3 a month, and get to hear these shows before the general release on Thursdays, which will always be free and always be ad free. So I'd like to thank you, dear listener, for your ears. Hope to earn them again next week. And closing this out from the Toad Suck Studios in Central Arkansas. Good night.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, brother.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, fantastic. Right. So, yeah, man, have a great rest of your day, and get back to it. But yeah, we'll be in touch to see if we can get that D&D thing going, because I think you'd really enjoy it.
Cool.
All right,
thanks
man.
a lot.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.